I know Mash and Fujimaru are basically the poster couple of this Grand Order timeline, and honestly, they're adorable. Mash is like the blueprint for a good girl. Everyone just can't help but love her. She's that cute, soft kind of character you just want to put in your pocket. And Fuji is a good boy with an endless battery of optimism. Even if it runs out, somehow he just recharges by absorbing everyone else's positive energy. So when you put these two together, you basically get the perfect couple goals. I can't even deny it. They started out as two kids who didn't really know much about the world outside their own little bubble. Bit by bit, they grew. Fuji learned more about the world of magecraft, and Mash discovered what it's like to actually live and connect socially with others. Now, years after their first meeting and all their adventures together, their bond has definitely grown stronger. They don't even really hide that they like each other anymore. They're not officially dating or anything, but they're not pretending otherwise either. But as players, watching everything from the outside, sometimes it just feels different, you know? Like, deep down, you can't help but think, maybe there's someone else out there who'd be a good match for Fuji. There's really no humble way to say this, but you get what I mean. If it's not Mash. I mean, I like Mash too, but after going through all the story chapters and meeting so many characters, I can't help but feel that way sometimes. Now, before you roll your eyes, yeah, I know. It's a gacha game. Everyone's kinda written to like you one way or another. Not all of it's romantic, but it's there. So hey, this is just my take. Feel free to drop yours in the comments. Now let's think about it for a second. Why are Fuji and Mash so close? For me, it's because Mash sees Fujimaru as her ideal senpai. Remember, as long as Mash has lived in Chaldea, she's always been searching for someone who fits that good senpai image, someone human-like. That's literally what she talks about the first time she meets Fujimaru with Lev around. Lev even said that finding someone like that is rare, since everyone in Chaldea tends to have at least one or two quirks that make them not exactly normal. But Fuji has that human quality that Mash has been looking for. Meanwhile, Fuji can grow close to Mash because, honestly, he needs someone by his side to face all those world-ending crises. At first, he took on the mission because he was the only one who could do it, and Mash was there with him. But after everything they've gone through, all the tragedies, the emotional roller coasters, the losses, having someone calm, kind and warm like Mash by your side becomes something you need just to stay sane. Over time, that connection naturally grew into something deeper. I think that's why Fuji never truly breaks down. Mash is always there to bring him back, to remind him he's still human, to welcome him home. Now that I think about it, the few times he does lose control or go a little insane are always when Mash isn't there. Remember when Mash got blasted by Goetia or during Lost Will? He loses it every time she's gone. It's because he can't stand the thought of her not being there anymore. It's the same with Mash. Fujimaru's human-like attitude helps her learn and grow so much. She also feels comfortable around him. So, you know, they just complete each other. And yeah, that's just how Mash and Fuji are. With enough time and a few more story arcs, I can totally see them ending up together. But closeness in human relationships doesn't always come just from completing each other. Sometimes it comes from relating to someone, seeing a bit of yourself in them. And that's what I started to think about when we got to the Britain Lost Belt. There's a certain character there who shares the same kind of fate as Fujimaru. Thrown into a similar situation, spending time together through it all. And that's Artoria Castor. Now, to be honest, at first I didn't really like her. I thought she was just another way for the devs to milk the Artoria brand again. Like, oh, this time she uses magic instead of a sword. That was my first impression. But once the story actually kicked in, and I learned about how hard Artoria had to struggle, how similar her situation was to Fujimaru's, and even how her inner struggles mirrored some of my own, I suddenly found myself really invested in her journey. It's weird, isn't it? Sometimes all it takes for your brain to start liking a character is finding just one or two moments that you can relate to. And then suddenly, you care about them more than anyone else. You see, Castoria is a girl who never really got to choose her own life. She was chosen, the only one who could do what needed to be done. Her story's different from Fujimaru's in a lot of ways, sure, but at their core, they share the same kind of fate. You know what? Let's rewind for a second. Just so we can really feel how messed up her situation growing up was. Castoria was born as an Avalon Le Fay, a so-called fairy of paradise, not belonging to any of the 6 fairy clans, and sent to repent for the sins of others. But when she was taken in by her village, they didn't treat her like someone special. They treated her like a burden, like a human. They threw her into a barn to live in, and that's basically where she grew up. She even lost 2 toes to frostbite during winter when she was 6. The way she casually mentions this to Merlin shows that might not even be the worst thing that happened to her. Even when Hector offers her anything from his shop to help her, she refuses. Because she knows if she ever owned something precious, the other fairies would just take it away. Then, after some time, the fairies decide to give her a test to prove she's the child of prophecy, and that test is to kill Hector. Of course she doesn't do it, but that doesn't matter. They still treat her horribly, lock her up, and threaten to throw her to Woodwoes. Some even plan to sell her right from the start, just because an Avalon Le Fay would fetch a good price. So yeah, when you look at her story, especially with the events of the Lost Belt, her life kind of sucks. She suffers for sins that aren't even hers, born just to atone for a race that doesn't think they've done anything wrong. And in Fujimaru's case, he's basically a kid chosen for something far bigger than himself. Their lives run parallel in a way, both trapped in duties they never asked for. Fujimaru's been through an endless cycle of battles and loss, while Castoria's been fighting the cruelty and hypocrisy of the fairies, all while trying to fulfill her mission. When they first meet, it's not exactly smooth sailing. She doesn't look or act like what the Chaldea crew expected, but Fujimaru treats her the same as he treats everyone else. And that's actually a huge deal. Because Castoria didn't have any real friends. Maybe one, long ago, but that's about it. So before Fujimaru and the crew arrived in Britain, she was completely alone. Just imagine being treated like an outcast your whole life, looked down on from day one, and then one day, someone from outside your world shows up and actually treats you as an equal. Doesn't care about your race, your title, or your past, just sees you. Of course she'd be happy, and that's why she connects so deeply with Fujimaru. He understands what it's like to have the weight of an impossible duty forced on you, to keep moving forward even when you're exhausted, and to never really have the space to say how much it hurts. They see themselves in each other, 2 people who didn't choose their path, but still choose to do the right thing. Also, maybe it's just me, but Fujimaru's interactions feel way livelier with Castoria than he ever does with Mash. They actually banter, argue, and do all sorts of stupid stuff together. With Mash, though, I don't think Fujimaru and her have ever really had a proper little argument or playful fight. Or maybe I just forgot. It gets to the point where Artoria Castor becomes so loyal to him that she literally wills herself back to aid Fujimaru in his final battle against Oberon. That kind of devotion hits hard when you know what she's been through. So yeah, that's why I think Castoria also fits with Fuji romantically. It's not that I dislike Mash or anything, I just feel like when 2 people share the same kind of pain or experiences, and truly understand what it feels like to stand in each other's place, that bond just hits differently. Those painful memories become a kind of soft spot between them, something that ties them together in a way no one else could. I guess this is kind of like how Todo and Itadori from Jujutsu Kaisen ended up bonding so well after realizing they shared a similar taste in women. It's not exactly a painful memory or anything, but the point is, they could relate to each other, and that connection made their bond stronger. It's kind of bittersweet that in the end, Castoria has to return to Avalon and can't really have a relationship with Fuji. But now that she's summoned in Chaldea, she actually seems happier. Like, genuinely happy for once. And yeah, I know this ship probably won't happen. Because, well, Mash exists, and Castoria's a heroic spirit. But hey, don't write it off as impossible just because of the plot. Technically, a heroic spirit can't be with a living human, They're weapons, they're dead, and they exist only to fulfill the conditions of the Holy Grail War. Or at least most of them do. But well, this is fate we're talking about. If they really want to make it happen, they'll find some wild explanation. Or you could just head over to that side of the internet. You know, that place, where all the codes actually matter. You'll definitely find your own kind of happiness there and maybe satisfy that shipping hunger too. Now, I guess even though the first spot is already filled, I still think there are 2 or 3 people who actually deserve a real romance with Fuji aside from Mash or Castoria. And honestly, for me, one of them is Musashi. This woman might as well have her own series. She's incredibly influential to the story, shows up many times, and has just the right kind of chaotic brain cell that makes Fuji act like a normal kid again. I really like her personality. She's what you'd call a humble wanderer. She travels a lot, always seeking knowledge, aware of her own weaknesses, searching for strength, yet still knows how to enjoy life. If Mash compliments Fuji on a mental level and Castoria connects with him through shared pain, then Musashi is that one friend you keep running into, only to realize you're somehow on the exact same wavelength. It's just fun being around her in the story. Now sure, in the game we only see how she talks. She expresses a lot, says whatever she wants, acts however she likes, but you never really get to see how her body language adds to it. But if you read the Shimosa manga, you'll see how this hobo samurai really behaves, and how perfectly she and Fuji just click with each other. If you haven't read it yet, I seriously recommend it. It's really good, especially with that gritty art style and heavy shading that fits the tone so well. But unfortunately, Musashi isn't really the type to get into love relationships. Well, she kind of is, but she keeps denying it, saying it could distract her from her sword path or something. Still, while her usual saber self is rather adamant, her berserker self actually seems to hope for something to happen. I mean, this is Musashi we're talking about. She's flexible. She'll sway with the flow if she needs to. As for Fuji, he definitely enjoys talking with Musashi. They have great chemistry, but it's just not there yet for both of them, I guess. And also, honestly, even now, I still don't believe she's gone forever. Now, I know some of you might be ready to flip your tables or grip your phones tight so you don't throw them across the room, because I didn't mention some of the other famous ships. But hey, this is just my take. And honestly, shipping characters based on your own reasons or experiences is a fantasy born from your own imagination. In the end, whoever he ends up with in your mind is your own treasure, and that's totally okay. But well, some of the famous ships like Jolter or Melt are honestly really good too. I'm not gonna lie, I really like Jolter. Her design, her personality, her story arc, her whole vibe, I love it. And she looks mad cute with Fuji. I've seen tons of fan art of them in school settings or casual slice-of-life mini-comics. I even saved an entire fan manga, more than 40 pages, on my phone, just so I can read it again whenever I want something sweet. The same goes for Melt. She's easily one of the most fleshed out characters connected to Fuji, and you can't deny her chapter really makes you feel for her. At first, I honestly didn't like her design. I'm the type who usually picks characters based on looks first, then gameplay. If I like how they look, I'm pulling for them. But despite that, Melt's story was so good that she became my #1 target in the Seraph banner. At that time, there was only one thing in my head: reunite Melt with Fuji. Looking back, that was wild. I didn't even like her design, yet I spent all my quartz on her. Now that I've gotten used to it, I actually don't mind it. But yeah, in that story, she's just perfect wife material. I doubt anyone could hate her. So the point is, this is all just my personal take. I like those two ships, but for me, Musashi and Castoria still take the cake as the top contenders. Now you might be wondering, why are all of these girls? Where are the guys? Well, here's what I think about that. Listen, first of all, this has nothing to do with gender. This is Fuji we're talking about. A character who can literally change gender depending on the player's choice. So that's not the focus here. That said, I do think there are a few male characters, maybe 3 or more, who share genuinely warm interactions with Fuji. You just have to squint and tilt your head a little to catch the hints. I don't know, it's kinda hard to notice. Most of it feels vague. It seems like the series deliberately hides any romantic angle with male servants, since the game's target audience is, well, mostly male, I guess. You know how it is. So honestly, I have no idea. It feels like all the male heroic spirits are on the same level, with almost nothing spicy enough to make our brains start shipping them. But honestly, I feel like there hasn't been any significant romantic arc with a male character, at least up to NA's current progress. Still, there are a few male servants with strong bonds or rapport with Fuji that could theoretically be seen that way. If I had to name a few who might slightly lean toward that vibe, I'd say Castor Gilgamesh, Hajime, and maybe Fergus. These 3, in my opinion, show just enough affection to make you wonder. Castor Gil has some good dialogue and pretty romantic implications here and there. Hajime is just a sweet guy who keeps us warm, and Fergus openly asks for it. Even with Dr. Roman, sometimes he drops affectionate lines toward Fuji, but Fuji usually responds in a pretty neutral or vague way. It's kind of always like that, and it only ever happens in hidden interactions like Max Bond dialogues or Valentine scenes, at least from what I know. Aside from those guys, I'm pretty sure there are more characters that you personally think have great chemistry with Fuji, so feel free to share your thoughts down in the comments. Good lord, we just talked about romance for almost 17 minutes. So yeah, I'm not gonna rank them, but I did explain why some of them are on top. I think that's enough for now. So go ahead, click subscribe, check out my other videos, or share this somewhere.